What's going on, guys? You got Quasi here for Quasi Studio Media. I'm sorry, Quasi Animation Studio and Quasi Media Network. And today we're doing lesson 4. And guess what? It's layered animations. I already showed you pretty much how to layer an animation yesterday, but we're going to deal with um, the doing like some of the more integral little parts and portions. For instance, I'm going to do um, the eyes in facial animations. So there's no talking. So I'm just going to do something slight, and it's going to be within. So I'm going to add some more keyframes, and we're going to do some tight camera shots. Okay. All right. And then by lesson 5 and 6, we're going to talk about redefining the shots and even taking what we've done and making it um, more what we want it to be. So again, when you're doing animation, you're doing what you want it to be. It's cool if you want to mimic something or whatever that's on you, but remember at its core, it's really what you want to translate from your story to screen. Okay. All right. So let's go. All right, it is. So here we are in Blender. I created a custom bone shape for Crimson's eyes. Okay. So this is the irises. The smaller bones are her irises. And then the circular shape is for the eye controller. Okay, so I didn't remove the background, I just turned it off. And we look at the set is all turned off. I turned it off because I just want to focus specifically on doing this part of the animation. So let's go into playback. Let's turn the maximum light on. I'm sorry, just that, and then go into the camera. Because the environment's not there because I made it all dark. Let's see, so I go 0.2, say 0.1. I'll just go 1, okay. But I'm gonna go here anyway and play back. And we're gonna work in shaded view today. Okay, so that was the last part. So let me see. Okay, I'm going to go into animation. All right, and we already know that this is what we started with yesterday, right? So these animations aren't exactly layered, but when I had her head turning, there was a layer there. Okay, so this part here, these are just the next animations. So when you see these step up, for example, those are not layered. Okay, so when I add like her facial stuff and all that right here, it'll be layered because she'll be looking up. All right, so we know that at 310 it stops there, so we'll start at 310. So I'll start at 310, and I'll just make the last one 1200 frames, even though I'm not going that far. All right. So get in tight. So she's already looking up, but I want her eyes. I'm going to focus there. So I'm going to do another camera animation. And that means I have to add another track. And then I'm going to, with the camera selected, hit I. Turn proportional editing off. I location rotation. Okay. So I want the camera to snap to where she is. So we're going to go ahead and do Control Alt 0. I'm probably going to go just find a nice little space. This is not too bad. So it's pretty tight. All right. So he's already come up to her. So now I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to, for the sake of it, I want to let you know, sometimes when you do a default animation, what will happen is the other animations will break if you don't set them up prior. So I'm going to check and make sure nothing says add, and then I'm going to add another track for her. But in this case, because everything else has all of the bones selected, I'm going to select all of this, hit I location rotation, and then for the sake of making sure that nothing breaks, because I don't know how long I want this to be, so let me go back here to 310. I think I'm gonna add 90 frames. Okay, that's cool. No, let's just take it to 460. I don't want to take any chances, so I'm just going to I'm going to copy paste that, and then I'm going to push it down. Okay, because again, we're layering animation. All right, so go back to the beginning, and then I'm going to add another track. So there's going to be an animation on top of this. Okay, so now I'm going to go to her eyes, and I'm going to select them. All right, because they're not moving yet, but I'm going to go and hit rotation. It is only going to rotate. I'm sorry, let me undo that. Let me undo that. I don't want that. I want to delete those. Okay. So I'm going to select her eye controller in rotation. Okay. All right. Now, this is the thing. Okay. Oops. Let me do it again. Let me delete it again. I'm sorry. Let me go to this one and then we're going to go add. All right. So you want to click that track, hit in, and then hit add because I want this to add to it, not subtract or replace. Rotation. Okay. Let's go up here and I'm going to purge the actions that were there. Okay. So now I'm going to go probably 20 frames. I'm going to have her eyes sort of turn a little. So rotation Y, RY, and turn just a little, like she's kind of gauging her dad. So to go there, gonna hold for a little bit. I'm just gonna kind of fill it out. All right, yeah. All right, rotation again. Again, instead of filling that one out, I'm going to put in another 20 frames. Rotation Y. And I'm going to rotation X a little. Let me come back down some because the eyes are piercing through. Okay. All right. Okay, rotation. And then another 20 frames. We'll rotate them back to where they originally came from. So I'll select this one, copy paste. All right, this time I'm going to push her eyes over a little bit more. Okay. And I'm going to push that down. All right, this way that her actual previous position doesn't alter. Okay. So now to come out of pose mode, I'm going to go back to the camera. All right. And I want this camera. Oh, is it in the right spot? No. Okay. So I'm going to go into the camera view. And as we see her eyes move, to like 480. And I'm going to just slightly, I'm going to roll this a little where it almost comes to the front. Matter of fact, let me go and zero out. All right, here we go. Okay, again, V, vector. All right, let me turn the overlays off. All right, so 480 on the end frame, so it'll repeat. So in this case, I'm going to make her eyes move a little bit faster. Come back into pose mode. And since it went 20 frames, I'm going to take it to, let's see, would it be 30? Yep. So 30, and then move that. Add 20. Move that one. Add 30. Move that one. Well, that one was really long. Subtract. Subtract 10. Okay. All right. In this case, I'm probably going to push this forward to 30. So let's push this forward 30. And I'll do a quick snap on this one. So since her eyes went that way, yeah, copy and paste. I do 16 frames and slightly adjust it down a little. All right. And then this will hold out there. So I'll delete that one, copy and paste this one. Okay, push it down, see what the playback looks like. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so in addition to that, because I added, we're going to use that same track. Okay. I'm going to use the same track, and this time I'm going to go, I think all her facial stuff here. Yeah. So all her facial bones are right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this cheek bottom, cheek top, and I'm going to move it. Let's say hit M. I'm going to move it to there. All right. And then I'm thinking I want the eyelid bottoms. Yep. And I'm going to move them to the same track. Okay, we're going to go to that track. All right. So look at these. They're on location only. So yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take this to the beginning of that. I'm going to select all of it, hit I, and go location. And as our eyes turn, I'm just going to fill it out a little bit. All right, so I'm going to add 6 to this. I'm just gauging. It's no particular rhyme or reason. All right, location again. This time we're going to go 16 frames. I'm going to release one side, Alt G. But I'm going to push it back up just ever so slightly. And I want to test this one. No, we're not using that one. Okay. I'll delete that keyframe. Okay. And this one will probably get a little tighter. All right. All right, so I'll select it all again, location, and then go 20 frames. Let me add 10. Add 5. Oops. Waiting on it to go back. Okay. Add 5. And then Alt G. Okay. Now, along with that, I'm going to go back. I'm going to select her head. I'm going to hit rotation. And I'm going to give it 22 frames. Come underneath. Slightly move it. All right, so we get this very slight movement. So if I come into playback, all right, and then I'll go back into animation. All right, so I'm going to hit rotation. Probably going to slide this back 12 frames. I want it on the 360, so I'll move it to 360. 22 more frames. All right. Because of the direction of her head, I'm going to click this, hold shift, and turn it and move it up a little, just a little, not a lot. This will be very slight. So looking back into playback. And then when she goes to look down, we'll move it down. So I'll hit rotation again, slide this one back some. So she starts to look down a little. And then there, I'll slightly move her head down. So here, I'll go to 440, add another rotation. And then closer towards the end, I'll push her head back up. Matter of fact, let me give it its first key. Copy and paste. All right. So now in this case, because of how it's all selected, let me go to, I know the Y. So I'm going to make all of this free. And on this first one, I'm going to select this and I'm going to just slightly curve it. All right. And then this next one, I'm going to make it very linear. So I'm going to hit V vector. And then on this last one, I'm going to slide it. Push it in some. But this top one, I'm going to push out some. Oh, hold on. All right. think I'm gonna go back one frame. All right. All right, see it in the playback. Yeah, okay. So now I want to do a play blast real quick. Let me look at my play blast. Go here. And I might as well just do it as a large one. So F10, gonna let it ride. So yeah, those little idiosyncrasies we kind of have to you have to just kind of gauge it, think it through, and then you can layer it. So again, we have our default pose layered with a facial pose on top. So, or facial expressions on top. So, and along with eye motions or whatnot. That's one of the things you want to sort of plan out. But I'm saying in reference to layering your animations, because you don't want to go in and go, okay, well, I'm gonna do this, and then when you sit down, you go, ooh, how am I gonna do it? So think about it in terms of like making a cake. All right, this is just the way I think about it. You first make sure you have your pan, then you have your bowl, then you have all your ingredients. You don't just throw all of it in the pan and throw it in the oven, do you? No. So you have to layer it. So basically, let me get my bowl, let me get my ingredients. Then we do our dry ingredients, we do our wet ingredients, we put it all together. We mix it till it's got the right consistency. Then we pour that in a greased pan. So we take the pan, we grease the pan, we flour the pan, we put the cake in it. Then we take that, put it in the oven for X amount of time. We pull it out, we ice it or frost it. Okay. And then we go and enjoy the fruits of our labor. So it has to be in sections. You shouldn't just jump in there and just go, oh, well, this is what I want. And it should be instant. I'm just going to click something and it's just going to work. I'm like, no, it's not going to work like that. Okay. So you really need to slow down and think about how you want to do this. And if you've been paying attention to this entire course, the first thing you need to realize is most basic motions. I know you might say, well, I wanted to do this and swoop and okay. Well, what would that look like? I'm not one of those people to do a tutorial with a cube moving like a person. That makes zero sense to me. I want to see a physical person move. And I get why people do those types of tutorials, but as someone that has coached sports, one of the first things I always used to teach the young men that I would coach is if you want to learn how to shoot, you have to shoot. If you want to learn how to throw, you have to throw. So it'll make no sense for me to sit down with them and tell them, oh, hey, toss this bean bag. It makes zero sense. They need to learn how to throw. In order to do it, they need to grab the ball, see what it feels like in their hand, see the weight of the ball, and throw it only so far. Don't try to throw a 60-yard pass. Throw it 5 yards. Throw it 2 feet. How far can you throw it, right? Just see how far you can throw it, and then let's start working on your form. And that's really reason why I kind of have a small indifference. I have a large indifference to how animation schools work for people that just want to just learn how to grab a character and learn the rig and learn the armature, and then say, okay, I see how it moves. I'm comfortable. Now let me start just coming up with stuff. No one says to a 3D generalist, hey, those flowers shouldn't be metal. No, that's just what they wanted to create. So it should be the same thing when you're doing your 3D animations. How do you want it to look? What story do you want to tell in regards to that? And that's really how you work it. Okay, so let's look at our playback. Yeah, not too bad. Now, of course, there's certain things I would change for my own personal taste. But again, you get to see these little intricacies where things change. It's like, and she's kind of like, Dad, what? Why? What's this about? And again, there's no story being told here. I'm just showing you how things could move and whatnot. So that's just one of the little bitty things that I wanted to demonstrate. Okay, so in regards to that, let's look at the entire thing as a playback. Let me push the camera down. Let's come out of here. Let's take this to 0. push it all the way back and go back into playback and play it. I do feel like that camera action and that last camera action when it turns around is too much. Oh yeah, that definitely fits. Oof. Not like that quick head snap back. Like what? Like what? Because we move like that. People actually move that way. All right. I'm gonna go to the last camera action and add my thingies. Okay, there's no modifier there. That's easily fixed. All right. And play. Just simple things like that. So again, having that camera movement definitely brings an entirely different scope. So when you're doing these facial expressions and all of that, it's best to be doing it in render preview unless you have a matte cap that works. It's like, for instance, for me, my matte cap wouldn't really do anything for me to see the actual eyelids. So let's say I went into, let's just go with this one, right? So let's say I use this matte cap and I let it play back. I couldn't see anything. Like I can see their general actions, but I can't see their eyes. So like I see her facial features, but I can't see her eyes do anything. So I would have to see it in render view. But as a good playback, this is not bad. Because the way that the pupils are set up for these characters, I can't just go in and alter the shading unless there's some sort of viewport thing that I haven't seen, which it probably is. Let me see. Let's play with it. See what happens. 'Cause there could be something in here that I just haven't seen that would allow me to see this see the actual eyes in the rendered view. Like textures, yep. Material, textures, vertex, random, object, material, texture. So yeah, I can see her eyes now, which that makes sense because if I click this and I go, it should be different for each one, but it isn't. Okay, no, it's the same for just, all right, so the things that are textured will be seen. Okay, cool. Oof, okay. Oh, okay. So we get to see our eyes there. That's cool. All right. I didn't know I can do that. So y'all learned something new today. So now if I want to do it in matte cap and her eyes are there, I can see them. Now his eyes won't show because his are just illuminated, you know, dilated pupils. But that's a decent playback though. But we can even see the texture or the normal for her clothing. Because they're shaded two different ways. He's shaded with my anime shader. She's shaded with like a realistic / anime style. But I like this right here where she's kind of like, what? Yeah, that works. Okay, guys. So I hope they help someone. I wasn't going to go too far into this. But in the next one, we're going to deal with how to make it a little bit more what we want it to be. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit more. I'm probably going to give him a secondary action, or when he pulls up on her is faster, and he kind of has like there's a few extra actions involved. So with that being said, man, I hope they help someone, like I said, and